history, IQ, that doesn't matter. What matters is you make a decision. In my book, Limitless, I talk about a quote from a French philosopher saying, life is the C between B and D. Life is C between B and D. And B stands for birth, and D stands for death. C, life is choice. And I believe right now, all these difficult times, they can define us. These difficult times can diminish us, or these difficult times can develop us. But so we decide with what we put in our mind, what we put in our body, how we the things that we learn. Those little choices add up. So everybody has that choice.
So today I was listening to your podcast episode about purpose. That's your latest episode. What's the title? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's about how to find your drive. And some people have challenges sometimes with procrastination, or they put things off and they don't remember the reasons that they do certain things, and then we don't follow through. I think a lot of people, by a show of hearts, can relate to this. They know what to do, but they don't do what they know, because common sense, we know we should exercise, we know we should eat right, we know we should prioritize sleep, we know we should meditate, but we don't always do all these things, and because common sense is not common practice. So the episode we did today, we have a podcast once a week. It's only 15 minutes long. People could just search my name in their podcast app, and we teach people how to remember names, how to learn a language, how to give a TED Talk from memory, how to change their habits, and the best morning routines, just fun stuff. Or how to remember a grocery list. Have you ever gone to the store to buy one thing and you come back with 2 bags full of things, except for that one thing that you missed?
Definitely.
So I do a lot of memory training, helping people improve their memory.
But I've noticed that you have overall, if I look at kind of all the things that I consume from your content and from your podcast, there's kind of like always this reoccurring few things that you talk about. So I mentioned that today's podcast because it was purpose, which I think is such a big part of motivation. For some reason, I feel like, and I was under the same impression that motivation is just this, like feeling this, you jump out of bed and you're like, I can do this. And it just lasts for, the rest of your life. Right. Where in reality, motivation is a lot of work, a lot of self-awareness, and so many other things. But I feel like when I kind of ran through the transcript of your book, the PDF, I saw that you have kind of those, categories of things like purpose. Can you maybe mention some of those?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the book Limitless, I introduce a 3-part framework to really achieve the impossible for people. And it's 3 parts, 3 M's. So the book really is 3 books in one. It's mindset, motivation, and methods. And you need all 3 of those M's in order to succeed. So let's make this interactive. Everybody who's watching right now, think about an area of your life where you feel limited. Where do you feel held back? Is it are you not progressing is it a relationship? Is it in your business? Is it in your income? Is it in your physical health and vitality? Is it in your learning? Maybe you feel like you're so absent-minded, you forget where you put your keys, or something larger like your car. You forget where to park your car, or you read a page in a book and forget what you just read, and you go back and you reread it, you still don't know. And so you need these 3 areas. And so everybody, maybe I could invite people to take notes.
That would be great.
I'll go through some really quick tips, everybody. And so, quick tips. My last name really is Kwik. I didn't change it.
It's meant to be.
It is meant to be. I was a runner back in school. It's a lot of pressure when it says Kwik right on your shirt. But going back to this, draw 3 circles. Everyone draw 3 circles that intersect with each other. And so, like Mickey Mouse, 2 ears that cross over and a face. And these are the 3 M's for becoming limitless. And the first one is your mindset. And your mindset, and I'll get to purpose because it's in the second circle. Your mindset is your assumptions and attitudes about the world. Your attitudes and assumptions about...
Sorry, can you repeat that? I had a little glitch.
Absolutely.
I just wonder if everyone...
So everybody draw 3 circles, and they're intersecting. So it looks something like this. I know it's backwards, but 3 intersecting circles. And this is, and the, me or no?
I wonder if it's my bad connection.
Is it my connection, or can people?
I don't know. This is always such a fun adventure here.
Can you?
I think it's your connection, because for me,
Maybe people could. They can't hear me now.
we can't see him. I think it's your connection, Jim.
How about now?
Yeah.
How about now?
Let me see.
Is it better now?
I can hear you, but you're still frozen
weird.
video-wise, so I'm just
Can you see me?
waiting for it to connect. You're frozen.
Frozen.
Don't you just love technology?
All right, let me do this.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for your patience. This was unexpected. It's not on my part, I think, but I'm gonna get him back on. I really want you to hear this information, because I know that it helped me a lot to figure out how to constantly reignite my motivation. A lot of you always ask me, like, how do you have the motivation to work out? How do you have the motivation to work? How do you have the motivation to do all these things? And I have to say that Jim has been my brain coach, without him even knowing it, through his podcast and the information he puts out there. So that's why I was really excited to bring him on, so he can kind of share all of this information with you. I think he's probably restarting his either phone or internet, but I'm gonna be patient, because, oh, there we go. I'm gonna find him, and then here we go. Okay.
Okay, so that was my fault. That was my fault. We're all good. We're all good.
Okay.
Thank you for everyone's patience, and patience for me is so important. So I appreciate you. Let's do this. Okay. You're wonderful. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm a big fan. Follow all your stuff. You always come up very early in my Instagram, and so yeah, I love the positivity, because positivity, just like fear, is contagious also. Positivity, performance, kindness, all of that. So thank you. So basically, I want everyone to draw 3 circles, and they're intersecting circles. So it looks something like this, 3 intersecting circles together. And this is the formula for achieving the impossible, for becoming limitless. 3 circles, 3 M's. The first one is your mindset. And your mindset are your assumptions and attitudes about the world, about yourself. So what would fall in this circle are things like what you believe is possible. What would fall in the circle is what you believe you're capable of. Because you could believe it's possible for somebody else, but not for yourself. And or also in that circle would be what you believe you deserve. So I could teach you, the last M circle is in the methods. I could teach somebody how to remember names very easily, but if their mindset is, I don't think it's possible for me, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not, I don't have a great memory, then it's going to keep you back. Because your brain is like a supercomputer, and your self-talk is a program it will run. So if you tell yourself you're not good at remembering names, you won't remember the name of the next person you meet, because you program your supercomputer not to. And so that's the mindset. The second M, going back to what you were talking about, motivation. Motivation, you're right. There are a lot of lies around motivation. People feel like it just comes and goes, or they have to love doing that thing in order to be motivated. And I have a formula for motivation. So if anybody struggles with doing something, I want you to think about this equation. P times E times S3. P times E times S3. And that's the formula for getting everything done that you want to get done in your life. And so if we were going to go and do an experiment right now, if we were going to make the ultimate motivated human being, what would be there? The first thing is P, which is purpose. And so that just to answer your question, for me, I'm not talking about your life purpose, although I do address it in the book. I mean it's really about finding a reason, because without a reason, you're not going to do something consistently. And it's not just intellectually. Like, let's take working out as an example. You know, if you know why you should work out in your head, but it only stays in your head and you're not working out with your hands, then you have to check in with the second H, which is your heart. 3 H's: head, heart, hands. And that's the success formula. You could have a goal in your head, but if you're not acting with your hands, check in with the heart, the emotions, because we're not always logical, but we're always biological. And you think about dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphin, these feelings, chemicals, it makes us do certain things. So I want everyone to feel the reasons, the rewards that come from working out, and also maybe even the pain of not working out. If you don't, what will that feel like? And so you feel the purpose. Now the E, my mind went, okay, if we want to make the ultimate human, you know, that's motivated all the time, if you just have purpose, will you always follow through? No, because you could be lacking the E, which is energy. Somebody could, you know, have the purpose of working out. They know they're going to look good. They know they're going to feel better, and they're going to live longer. Even working out is actually good for your brain. As your body moves, your brain grooves. When you move and exercise, it creates brain-derived neurotropic factors, which is like fertilizer for your brain, and so it helps your brain grow. But let's say you have a newborn and you haven't slept in 3 days, you know, and you lack the energy. You're probably not going to be very motivated. Or let's say you want to read, and you know leaders are readers, and a lot of people are really good at buying a book and it sits on your shelf, but they're not really good at reading the book because, but they know the reasons. It'll make them smarter. They can make more money. You know, they can learn. If somebody has decades of experience and they put it into a book and you could read it in a few days, you could download decades into days. You know, what a great advantage. But if you ate a big processed meal and you're in a food coma, you're probably not going to be very motivated because you don't have the energy. So in the book Limitless, we talk about 10 different ways to improve your mental energy, the best brain foods, as you and I talked about before, the best how to maximize your sleep, because how many people have problems with their sleep nowadays? Or maybe their stress, and the stress takes up a lot of energy. Or maybe family members, like an energy vampire, they steal all your energy, or you have somebody in your world that takes all your energy. I think some people are batteries are included, but a few people are batteries not included, and they take your batteries, right? And then you wonder why you don't feel motivated to achieve your dreams sometimes. So you need energy. So you have purpose, energy. And if you're just joining us, we're talking about the formula for motivation. P times E times S3. So purpose, feel it. Energy, do the things that give you energy as opposed to deplete energy. And then the S3, I was like, okay, if somebody just has a big enough purpose to work out or read every day or, you know, do what's good for them, and they have the energy, will they always follow through and be motivated? The answer was no. You need S3, 3 S's, small, simple step, small, simple steps. Because a lot of people, they talk themselves out of it, analysis paralysis, because this thing is too big. They want to build a $1 million brand online, or they want to have the perfect body, or they want to find their soulmate and live happily ever. It's way too big. And the brain doesn't work that way. A confused mind, it doesn't do anything. It does not very motivated. So what's a small, simple step? Maybe instead of, if you have trouble working out for an hour a day, maybe the small, simple step is putting on your running shoes. That's a small step, right? Maybe it's not reading it takes about 45 minutes for the average person to read a book a week. If you did 45 minutes a day, because the average book, when I was writing this, I realized is 64,000 words. The average person reads 200 words a minute. And so if you divide those two numbers, it takes 320 minutes to read one book. If you divide that number by 7 days in a week, 45 minutes a day, we'll read one book. Now we teach people how to read 3 times faster. In this book, we show people how to read faster. So if you could, that would mean you could do it in 15 minutes instead of 45 minutes, which is a huge advantage. But even if you can't get yourself to read 45 minutes, maybe that's too big. Maybe the step should be small, simple step, open up the book. Or maybe read one line in the book, because you're not going to stop at one line. And that's a small, simple step. And to find your small, simple step, whatever it happens to be, like starting a business or anything, ask yourself this question: what is the tiniest action I could take that will give me progress towards this goal? What is the tiniest action I could take to give me progress to this goal? And where I can't fail, it's so tiny, right? Because it requires very little effort and very little energy. And that's your motivation. And then finally, the last M is your methods for doing something. So the mindset is what's possible, what you believe is possible, what you believe you deserve. The purpose, the motivation is purpose, energy, and small, simple steps. And the methods are what are the methods for being healthy? What are the methods for building a business? What are the methods for reading faster, or improving your focus, or improving your memory? And those are the things that I put in the book. Now, when people see the diagram, there's a crossover. And where mindset crosses over with motivation, you have inspiration. And there's a great book called Mindset. They're mindset experts. They're motivational speakers and motivational books. Where they cross over, you have inspiration, and you have inspiring posts. You have inspiring movies. Like an inspiring movie will change your mindset about what's possible, and it'll also give you a little energy and motivation. But you don't know what to do with it because you don't have the methods. So you have a lot of energy and inspiration, but you don't know what to do. And where mindset crosses over with methods, you know it's possible, and you know what to do, how to read faster, how to learn languages, how to remember names, but you don't have the motivation. And that is ideation. So I'm going to give people 3 M's, now 3 I's. Where mindset and methods cross over, you have ideation, just stays an idea because you're not having the motivation. And then finally, where motivation crosses over with methods, you have the next I, which is implementation. You're motivated, you have purpose, you have energy, you know the methods to read faster or learn languages, and that's implementation, but you're still stuck in that box because you're only going to be able to achieve what you believe is possible in your mindset, or what you believe you're capable of, or what you believe you deserve. And then the magic happens, everybody, when all 3 M's and all 3 I's intersect in the middle, and that actually is integration. Exactly. Yes, that right there is in the middle is integration, and that's the limitless state. And I know it's backwards for everybody, but that's the limitless state, and that's integration means you're whole, and it's just who you are. And my goal with everybody right now, especially as we're cocooning, is to how can you use this time to come out as a butterfly, right? You're physically distancing yourself right now, but like while the beauty is in the butterfly, the growth happens in the cocoon. And the challenge is we're alone with our thoughts. We're alone with our fears. We're alone maybe with our doubts. And so what I'm teaching people right now is 5 different things that they could do while they are physically distancing themselves to optimize their brain. So when they come out of this, they could be stronger and smarter and better.
So good. I love it because I mean, I don't think there's any person that can't relate to, feeling that something is lacking in these 3 categories. There's always something, even for people like I find myself to be pretty motivated, but there's always something. You're always fighting against a mindset, or you're always like, limiting beliefs. You're always fighting against method, finding the proper system for things to work. But, I think that it's so important to look at all these things as tools that can be taught, because I just find just too many people think that, oh, you're so lucky that you have the energy, you're so lucky that you're motivated, where in reality, there was a lot of work put into building that system, that motivation, and it's constant, right? It never just like flows unlimitedly. So I think that this is just such a great formula to constantly go back to whenever you just need a little wake up, I would say.
Yeah, I think everything plays a part for sure.
And Jim, I know that you also have the Jim Kwik. You have the online like university, I call it, but it's courses, right? So what do you provide there? Is it kind of the same type of brain exercises? I know there you have a lot of different courses. If it's about studying a book and reading a book or things like that.
Yeah, so we build an online education platform. We have students of all ages and stages of life that just want to get to the next level. It's for busy people who want to not only learn faster, but they want to achieve and be and share more in life. And so we have 21 30-day programs on focus. We have one on speed reading. We have one on improving your memory. We have one for just students, and that's people can see that at jimkwik.com. change exactly my name.com. But people generally experience us there, or especially now that school's shut down, people are using this time to level up. Or our podcast. Our podcast, as you mentioned, is only 15 minutes long. There's no advertising. People just learn these skills, and it's free. And then the book, which teaches people how to do these things. But I would love to give people some really quick tips on what they could do now.
Yes, I love that. Oh, perfect.
Yes. Okay. So everyone right now, what I would, because you're watching this, you want something more. Otherwise, you wouldn't be, plugged in. And I want to, really appreciate that, because your time and your attention is your life. Where, that's the one thing you can't get back. That's what your life is made out of. So while we're cocooning right now, we're going through this metamorphosis, and a butterfly is a nice symbol for what we're going through, because just when the caterpillar feels like it's the end of the world, it becomes a butterfly, right? And so what are 5 things you could do while you're cocooning? And here are 5 really quick C's. All right, very, very quickly. If you want to, now we're going through something the world has never gone through before. So we're going through a wide range of emotions. And in my book, I mentioned I have this quote from a French philosopher: life is C between B and D. B is birth, D is death, C is our choice. And so what are 5 choices you can make to come out of this better? I would say the first C is clarity. Because sometimes when we're going about our day, we're going like so fast, we don't take a pause and saying, are we going in the right direction? Because we're racing this car, in our life. And solitude is a wonderful time to self-reflect. And how you get clarity on your life is you ask a question: what's most important to me in life? What's most important to me in my job or my career? What's most important to me in family? What's most important to me in a relationship? What's most important to me in the contribution or the impact I'm going to make? And then you have your values, what's most important to you. It could be love, it could be growth, it could be contribution, it could be fun and adventure. Then you ask yourself this question: are my actions aligned with those values? Because if you self-sabotage, or you take 1 step forward and 2 steps back, a lot of it has to do with people feel like they're burnt out because they're doing too much. And maybe that's the case, but some people are burnt out because they're doing too little of the things that light them up, the things that really matter to them. And so I would remind everybody that, to get clarity on your life, use this time cocooning to just meditate or journal or talk therapy, or just reconnect with ourselves. And the stage that you're in right now in your life, this is a nice time to say, okay, am I going, because you don't want to climb the ladder of success and go be so efficient and get to the top and realize the ladder is leaning on the wrong wall. That would be really disappointing. And so that's the first C, is clarity. The second C, while you're cocooning to come out as a butterfly to soar, is care. We know self-care is not selfish. And I know that it's not just physical hygiene. Wash your hands, sanitize things 6 feet, but also your mental hygiene. Because chronic stress shrinks your brain, right? When you're in fight or flight or freeze, you're not going to get the most out of yourself and the people around you. And some people, this would be a choice, but some people are tuning into the news, and it doesn't make you feel good. You should know what's going on. That could be your choice, but you want to be a thermostat, not a thermometer. Like a thermometer, think about what a thermometer does. It just reacts to things. And that's tough life if we're just reacting to everything. A thermostat gauges the environment, but then it sets a temperature, and then it makes it like, what it wants. It sets a goal, it sets a vision, and then it makes the environment reacts to it. And so care, what I'm saying is, maybe we don't watch all the negativity that's on the news, because there's an algorithm to your mind, like there's an algorithm to Instagram. If you're scrolling through Instagram and you have a habit of just interacting and engaging with all the cat posts, right? You watch every cat video, you like every cat video, and you comment there, you share them, then Instagram is going to what? Give you more cats. And you're going to think the whole world's made out of cats. Well, your mind has an algorithm too. If you just look at what's scary and what's dark and threatening, then your news feed in your mind is going to just be attuned to everything that's dark. And the problem is, you only have a certain amount of bandwidth. And so if you're looking at everything that's dark, then you're not looking at what's light. You're not looking at what you could be grateful for. You're not looking at possibility. You're not shining a light on opportunity that could be there also for your life. So care, we talk about everything that you and I have talked about, like what are the best brain foods? And if you want, we could teach people how to remember the brain foods. If you want, we could do that.
That was such a good one. We'll
Yes.
do it. Yeah.
But
We can do
so,
this all day,
yeah.
James.
So let's go through let's finish the C's. So you have clarity, you have care. The third C is contribution. If you want to feel better during this time, like the question I'm asking is, we're going to come out of this at some point. What is the story you want to tell people about what happened? And we're writing that story right now, every single day, with every moment, every decision, every choice that we're making. And so what's the story you want to tell? Not about what was going on in the world, what was going on in your world at this time. And so the third C, you have clarity, care, contribution, meaning that chronic stress shrinks your brain. Chronic fear actually makes you more susceptible to colds, flus, and viruses. It's an area of science called psychoneuroimmunology. And we know that if someone's fearful all the time, their immune system gets compromised. And what's the antidote to fear? I think it's service. You know, when you're serving, contributing something, your time, ask yourself, how can I put my time, my talent, my treasure, you know, into making a difference today? Like for us on Instagram, we're doing stuff for children, teaching them how to learn. I think if there's one skill that we should have been taught back in school, they teach you what to learn, but not how to learn. You know, how to focus, how to remember things, how to study, you know, how to solve problems. And so that, I feel like that's what we're doing to contribute. For our book, Limitless, and people have been asking, it's at limitlessbook.com. We donate 100% of the proceeds to build schools for girls around the world, from Ghana to Guatemala, and provide them with healthcare, clean water, and also Alzheimer's research, because people don't know this, but a lot of people don't know this. My grandmother passed of Alzheimer's, and twice as many women experience Alzheimer's than men. And so we're going to do research into that, because that leads into better treatment. And so, but how can you contribute in this way? And that gets you out of fear, because when you put your focus on somebody else, you can't be scared for yourself. And so maybe it's calling a friend that might be alone. Maybe it's making food for the nurses and the frontline staff that are doing, you know, that are real heroes. But maybe it's calling on somebody that's elderly, that just, you know, that's more vulnerable. How can you contribute? And then the fourth C, while you're cocooning, if you come out as a butterfly, you have clarity, care, contribution, and then creativity. What have you always wanted to create and you said you didn't have enough time? Is it a blog? Is it a business? Is it an invention? Is it a painting? Is it you want to write? You want to create something? And, you know, it was during the Great Plague that William Shakespeare wrote Macbeth. He also wrote Antony and Cleopatra during the Great Plague. It was during the plague that they shut down London University, and Isaac Newton had to go home and socially distance himself. And that's when he was sitting underneath a tree and an apple fell on his head, and he came up with the theories of gravity. So and I'm not saying everybody has to create that, but what can
we can start smaller.
We can start small, simple steps. But what can you create? And then finally, the last C, the fifth C, when you are in cocooning to come out as a butterfly, clarity, care, contribution, creativity, is capability. Capability, meaning you have your to-do list, but do you have a to-learn list? What's on your to-learn list? What have you always, because we have unfettered access to everything. YouTube podcasts, you know, these lives. You can learn Spanish, you can learn salsa, you can learn speed reading. What have you always wanted to learn that you said you didn't have enough time to do? Because ultimately, I feel like the more, and I think if there's one thing to really learn, is learning how to learn. Because if there was a genie could grant you any one wish, but just one wish, everyone would ask for limitless wishes, right? I want millions of wishes. If I was your learning genie and I could help you master any one subject or one skill, any one subject or skill, but just one, just like the one wish, what would you ask for? You would ask for learning how to learn. If you could learn how to learn, you could apply that. You could grant all your own wishes. You could apply that towards money, Mandarin, martial arts, music, anything gets makeup. Anything gets easier when you can learn how to learn, when you could focus, when you could remember, when you could read better, when you could study and retain and apply. So those are the 5 C's I hope are helpful when people are cocooning. And you don't have to do 8 hours a day of all this. It's like small, simple steps, as we talked about. the formula. What is the tiniest action you could take to make progress? So when it comes to clarity, just meditate for 5 minutes. What's most important to me in my life? And are my actions aligned with that? When it comes to care, maybe it's like, what's one thing I could just go for a walk and get fresh air, or do some breathing exercises, or eat some good food, nourishing foods, because what you nourish flourishes, right? Or maybe contributions is making a call to, or making a small donation to somebody, or a call, checking in on somebody. Creativity, or it could just be writing for 10 minutes a day. You know, it doesn't have to be overwhelming, or if you're talking about learning, you could just listen to one podcast, or you could read a couple pages in a book. But that will make you better off than if we didn't do those things.
That was very, very insightful. I'm scared to turn on the comments because I feel like people are just going to be raging with questions. I really wanted to just finish it off, because I've kept you for a while now, with the brain foods, because I thought that was such a genius thing, and I actually taught it to my children.
Really?
And I just, and they just like loved, the visualization of it. So I think it'll be really helpful for people just kind of to keep in mind.
Sure. Like, so let's everyone, people who have a heart, like say they have a bad memory, I want you to set that aside for a second. I'm going to show you how amazing your memory is. And if you've ever gone to the store again to buy one thing and you came back with a bag full of things except for that one thing, why did that happen, right? And so I'm going to show you how to memorize a list of things. And specifically, let's make it practical. Let's talk about the best brain foods. What are the best foods for your mind? It's an area called neuronutrition, because your brain has different nutritional requirements than the rest of your body. And so, and what you eat matters, especially for your gray matter, because it literally becomes you. And while your brain is only 2% of your body mass, it requires 20% of the nutrients and the oxygen, and so what can you do? So the brain foods, I'm going to teach you a technique called PIE. Improving your memory is as easy as PIE, P-I-E. And this technique, I wrote the chapter, the largest chapter in Limitless is on memory. And I wrote it in Greece because I found out the goddess of memory, her children are the 9 muses of literature, science, and arts. And so imagine like the mother of all literature, science, and arts is memory, right? That's how important memory is. So I wrote the chapter in Greece, and they used to store information 2,500 years ago in places. They would imagine what they need to remember around their home and such, because they literally would go and say, the first thought I want to remember, because they didn't have books and printing presses and computers to store information. So they would use their mind with using creativity and imagination. And so let's do this. Memory is as easy as PIE, P-I-E. The P is place. All right, so we're going to take 10 places on our body, and we're going to go top to bottom. And I want everyone to do this. We're going to have fun. We're pretend we're like 8 years old, and because who's the fastest learners? Children, right? Children learn languages and musical instruments so easy. So 10 places on our body. So everyone do this. Touch that place and say this place. Number 1 is top. So 1 is what? Top. Top of your head. And 2 is nose.
Nose.
3 is mouth.
Mouth.
4, ears.
Ears.
5, throat.
Throat.
Okay, so how are we doing so far? And I want everyone to do this, not just listen, watch us do this. 1 is top. 2 is nose. 3 is mouth. 4 are your ears. 5 is throat. 6 are your shoulders. 7, collar. 8 are your fingers. 9 is your belly. And 10 is your bottom, your seat. All right? Now, these are the 10 places. Now, that's the P in PIE, right? Now, the I is imagine. We remember things that we see really well. Like, how many of you, by show of hearts, are much better with faces than you are with names? You go to somebody and say, I remember your face, but I forgot your name. You never go to someone and say the opposite. You never go to someone and say, I remember your name, but I forgot your face. That wouldn't make a lot of sense, right? Because so if we remember what we see, there's a proverb that says, what I hear, I forget. What I see, I remember. What I do, I understand. What I hear, I forget. I heard the name, I forgot the name. What I see, I remember. I saw your face, I'll remember your face. And what I do, going back to practice, I really understand it. And so knowing this, we remember what we see, then try seeing what we remember using an image. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an image of the foods. I'm going to give you the 10 foods. And then the last letter, P-I-E, P is place, I is imagine, the E is entwine. And entwine means you put the two things together. What are you putting together? The place and the image. All right, you're gonna put the food in the place. So we have 10 places on our body. Now I'm gonna give you the 10 brain foods. You're gonna put each food in its place, okay? And you're gonna make it fun, because here's the key to a long-term memory. Information by itself is forgettable, but information combined with emotion becomes unforgettable, right? You remember things. You could probably hear a song that could take you back to school, right? Or a food or a fragrance that take you back to when you were a child. Because the information by itself is forgettable. When you add emotion, it becomes unforgettable. So let's make it fun. What's the first place?
Top.
The top. And I want you to remember avocados. So now just imagine avocados, like you're maybe using avocado as a conditioner, or you're making guacamole on the top of your head. And if you can't imagine it, imagine you can imagine it. Okay, have fun with it. The second place is what? Your nose. And I want you to remember blueberries. Blueberries are very, have antioxidants. They're very neuroprotective. I call them brain berries. So what's coming out of your nose? Blueberries. And that would never happen, but that's why you don't have to, a lot of people, when they need to memorize something, they repeat it over and over and over again, but that takes too long. If you just use your imagination, you put it in a place, you'll always remember it. So blueberries coming out of your nose. And then you have the third place, which is your mouth. Third brain food is broccoli. So what can you picture? Like broccoli and
I feel like it's like coming out of my mouth like a little flower.
Right, there you go. Or maybe a piece of broccoli in your teeth or something, but you taste it,
right?
That's
that
would work. Yeah. You'll always remember it. Make it big and use your imagination. It's bigger than normal. And the fourth place is what? Ears. Olive oil is good for the brain. Olive oil. And so what can you imagine? Maybe you're cleaning your ears with olive oil? Or maybe
actually, when you have an infection, you warm olive oil and you put it in your ear, like with a cotton thing. It's like a old school thing.
I love that. I didn't know that. So imagine you're doing that. Or you have olive earrings, something that reminds you. You're putting the two things together. 5 is what? Your throat. And if your diet allows, some research suggests eggs are good for your choline in eggs is good for the brain. And so imagine instead of an Adam's apple, you have an egg. Like that's different, but like it's just different. So you have egg on your throat. Okay, 6 are your what? Shoulder. And I want you to remember green leafy vegetables. Kale and spinach are good for your brain. So imagine you have shoulder pads made. One of them is made out of kale. One shoulder pad's made out of spinach.
Very fashion forward. I love it.
Exactly. It's green is the new black. All right. So and then 7 is your collar. If your diet allows, and everyone is bio-individual, so I'm giving generalities, right? Wild salmon, if you know the omega-3s or flax is good also. But a necklace made out of salmon, like salmon sushi or something. Right? You would split it. And then finally 8 and 9 and 10. 8 are your fingers, and turmeric is good for your brain. That golden spice. It's anti-inflammatory. I make like a golden milk, sometimes in the morning, some almond milk, some turmeric, a little pepper helps you absorb it. It's anti-inflammatory. But imagine turmeric all over your fingers. You can't get it off.
It does stain, yes.
It does. 9 is your belly. Walnuts are good for your brain. So imagine walnuts, I don't know, in your belly button, something like that. Or you just you're stacking walnuts. Walnuts look like a brain, so that'll help you remember it also. And then finally, 10 is your body.
I remember that one.
Yeah, that one is the last superfood for your brain, dark chocolate. I don't even need to know what everyone is using, but dark chocolate is actually good for your brain. Not milk chocolate, not a lot of sugar, but dark chocolate. What's good for your mind is going to be good for your mood. Now, you are finally able to go out and you're at the grocery store. You didn't bring your list because you don't need your list because you have your list in your mind. What was the first place? On the top of your head, you have what? Avocados. And then everyone do this with us. 2 is out of your nose. You have blueberries. In your teeth, you have a piece of broccoli. You're cleaning your ears with what?
Olive oil.
Number 5, your throat. You maybe have a big egg. I didn't say apple. There's eggs there. Your shoulder pads are made out of
leafy greens.
Kale and spinach. And then the collar, you have a necklace that's made out of salmon. And on your fingers, it's covered in
turmeric.
And out of your belly, you have
Walnuts.
those walnuts, which are good at vitamin E, good for the brain. And finally, your seat is dark
Chocolate.
Everybody, great job. And I would challenge everybody to take a screenshot of this and actually post both, tag us both in it, and see if you remember all 10, or if you remember it backwards. Like if people could go dark chocolate, and then their belly button, they have, you know, the walnuts, and then the collar, they have a necklace made out of salmon, and then your shoulder pads. If you could do it backwards, I would love to see if people could do that. And actually, if you share it, you could teach it to somebody else. That's the final lesson I would give everybody. If you want to learn something faster, teach it right away. And one of the ways to teach it, just like you did with you know, as well, you could do it to teach anybody, or post it online. Make a video of it, and then tag us both and say, hey, here are the 10 superfoods for your brain. And then go through it, and then post it. And then I'll actually send, not only will I repost some of them, I will also send a copy of my book to one person randomly who does that.
Amazing.
And everyone could also get it on limitlessbook.com. And when you do limitlessbook.com, I gift you a 10-day companion audio video course on it, where I teach you how to do this on video, and I teach you how to tap your purpose, your life purpose, and I show you how to remember names, and I teach you how to read faster. So when the book arrives, it's not going to be shelf help, it'll be real self-help, instead of just sitting on yourself unread.
Jim Kwik, you are one of a kind, my friend. That was so insightful and so great, and I am very excited about learning. I urge you guys to check out Jim's Instagram at Jim Kwik, his podcast, and online. And then you have the book Limitless, which is limitlessbook.com. I'm going to put all the links in the description of our IGTV. Thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate your time.
Oh, we'll do it again. Thank you, everybody.
For sure.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.